Ah, Kim is here. Amazing.
Rob, Rob,
Buddy.
my man, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, when I swing, I put that fire to your chest. Talking ass, better wear a fucking vest.
So
Can I ask you what your problem is with Peter and his non-monogamy?
No, that wasn't. I misunderstood it. I just simply misunderstood it. That's all.
Well, no, you said to Gary that it was that you said to Gary earlier because I was listening as I was making my food.
No, I was talking about Abigenis with Gary.
No, just earlier. You said something to Gary. You said this guy Peter, he has two girlfriends and he talks to me about morality.
Yeah,
Do you have a problem with non-monogamy?
I have a problem with the relationship of with Peter's relationship in regards to the Bible standard for morality. Yes.
Okay. So would you call that immoral?
I would. No, it's
Even though all parties are consenting?
Yes, and yes. It's still immoral.
Interesting.
According to the Bible, it's immoral, and I'm going by the Bible. So it's not me saying it; it's God Himself saying it.
Interesting. Okay. So you're telling me that if two women came up to you and were like, "Hey, man, we like you, we want to be in a relationship with you," you'd say no?
I would say no. Honest.
It's wild. That's really wild.
I'm a one-man woman.
Okay. I'm
a one-woman man.
I'm looking over my notes here. Oh, I totally forgot. You like Ken Ham. You are an AIG Young Earth creationist, aren't you?
To the degree that I understand what he's talking about and agrees with some of his stuff, yes.
Okay.
But I don't.
Right.
I can't. But I have to say I don't know him enough to say that I agree with all his positions.
Fair enough.
I'm just putting that out there. So
you're a follower of Answers in Genesis, though, and that's an important thing because that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, to the degree that I can understand and what he's talking about, because to full disclosure, I'm not a scientist, so I try to read stuff that helps me because in terms of scientific, like I understand concepts, but what I don't I'm not familiar with a lot of the Latin, and Peter and Aaron know that. Ask me questions about Latin, and then I don't know, and then they say I'm stupid because I don't understand, and so I'm just like full disclosure. I'm not a scientific person. I understand.
Well, you don't have to be a scientist to read scientific papers, man, and understand scientific discoveries.
That's one of the things I'm trying to work on more is reading more science.
Yeah, you should totally do that. That's my of all of the criticisms I dished out to you last night when I was reviewing your debate with Peter. That's the number one criticism I'm going to give you.
And that's fair.
Don't read enough. You need to start reading these papers and understanding how these people come to the findings and reading the data. Know thy enemy. Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I accept that critique as I fully accept that.
The one other thing that I wanted to go over was you mentioned carbon-14 dating last night, and you mentioned the snail that was dated to 27,000 years. Right. Are you aware of the reservoir effect?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so when mollusks, right, which is the family of animals that snails are a part of, when they construct their carapaces, right? Sometimes they do so with water and limestone that contains carbon dioxide. And so when they build these carapaces mollusks and you carbon-14 date them, you get inconsistent results because of the additional amounts of carbon that are found in their carapaces. This is a well-known effect that happens. So that's why when you can't radiocarbon date mollusks just in general. And that's why we don't do that.
Right.
But carbon-14 dating is not the only kind of radiocarbon dating there is. Do you understand, or rather, radiometric dating? Do you understand how radiometric dating works?
No, I do not. I'm trying to get more read up on that stuff.
Okay. Can I give you a layman's explanation of how radiometric dating works?
Please do.
Okay. So imagine that we split a mountain in half, right? And we looked at the cross section of the mountain, and at random we take a chunk of rock out of that mountain, right?
Yeah.
So we say that this rock is made up of isotope X, right? With a half-life of 1 million years. We know that isotope X takes about 1 million years to decay halfway into lead, let's say, right? Because when radioactive isotopes decay, they decay into a secondary product. So we take this chunk out, which is 50% isotope X and 50% lead.
I'm not dishonest. Sorry, I'm just responding to Kentucky guy.
Sure. So we take this rock out, and half of it is isotope X, and half of it is lead. And so we can confidently say, because we know that isotope X's decay rate, right, half-life, is 1 million years, it's that the rock is 1 million years old. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So when the rock is 30% lead and 70% isotope X, we can say it's 300,000 years old. When the rock is 3/4 lead and 1/4 isotope X, we can say it's 1.5 million years old, right? Or 2 million years old, rather, because it decayed halfway and then it decayed halfway again. So that's how radiometric dating works, is we measure the physical quantity of certain isotopes and certain decay products in a piece of sediment or rock or fossils in some cases, right? And we can use that to date it. So it really puzzles me, because radiometric dating is a really solid science. We do this constantly, right? And it makes the age of the Earth sort of indisputable, because we can physically pull the rock out of the Earth and physically date it to X number of millions of years, right? I mean, we radiometrically date fossils constantly. We have human fossils of human beings that are older than your proposed creation date. How do you explain that?
Okay, Peter mentioned to me something that